All right, guys, welcome back to the Tavern Tourney. This is our final round one for the Tavern Tourney, and today we have Bryson representing Redhood, and we have Sonny who will be filling in for Lewis because for some unforeseen events and unfortunate events happening, he won't be joining us. So Sonny, our other host, will be filling in with the comedian.
And I gotta say, he's got a pretty uphill battle to do right now because Sonny's had about 2 hours of study time, and even I tried looking up stuff on the comedian. There's not a lot to go on when you're on Google, so he's got a challenge ahead of him.
Well, we'll see where this goes. I'm a fan of Bryson. I don't know too much about Redhood, but I know her. She's got some skills arguing, so let's do this.
Would you like to go over the rules really quick before I do the introduction?
Absolutely. So, just to recap for anyone that is new to the tavern, rule 1 is character only, no side help, guys. So, Batman cannot bring Robin. Plain and simple, okay? Rule number 2 is specify your version and universe, so no flip-flopping. 3 is only usual equipment and powers, all right? Any questions? Bryson, which version of Red Hood will you be using today?
I'm going to be doing the Jason Todd version of Red Hood.
Primer, DC, the comic?
From the primary, DC universe.
Okay.
What we're talking, just his basic, he was Robin, now he's the Red Hood story.
Okay.
All right. And Sonny, which version of the comedian will you be using?
This is like really only one version, so the mainline comic version.
Okay. From comics, from Watchmen into DC?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
All right. So without further ado, let's go ahead and set the mood.
Okay. Jason Todd races to New York City in pursuit of the Joker. He spots what looks like a clown laughing in the back alley. Upon closer inspection, it turns out to be a mannequin with a voice box. Damn clown got away, he says under his breath. At that moment, a lighter flicks on behind him. Jason turns to see the comedian lighting a cigar. Nice helmet, but I think you're lost. Jason draws his pistol. I don't have time for you. The comedian follows suit, and the battle commences. Tonight's battle, it's the Red Hood versus the comedian. You guys ready?
Dun, dun, dun.
All right, so as usual, we have our official tavern coin. So, Sonny, because you got, last minute draw, you get to pick heads or tails.
Oh, no. Let's see, tails.
Tails. Now, heads will be Lord Vader, and tails will be Anakin and Obi-Wan's epic battle. All right? Let's go. Okay, I'm going to do a reflip because that was sad. It is tails.
Oh, dang.
Tails. So, Sonny.
He said dang.
I kind of wanted to go second. So I go first, right?
Yep, your first point. Show us
Okay.
what you got.
So my first point. Okay. So I guess my first point I want to make is the comedian does come from a very big, how should I put this? He's a very big warrior background. So he's been in multiple wars. I know he's been in Vietnam twice and also the Second World War, if I'm not mistaken.
There was two Vietnam Wars?
Well, I mean, like he's been in, that's what I mean. Two tours, yeah. So he's very experienced, not only hand-to-hand combat, but with multiple weapons, whether that be like flamethrowers or rocket launchers, whatever it be in that time period, of course. Also, I do want to point out that because of that, he has a very savage background with the way he does his killings and how he handles his fights, I guess. I mean, that's really all I want to make for my first point, I guess.
So he's a savage.
Yeah.
Is
And
he
he's very strong. He's very strong, yes.
Is he classy, moody, and nasty too?
Definitely. No, I wouldn't call him classy because he does like to put the shotgun in the faces and just kind of blow it everywhere. So it's more messy than classy.
Oh,
Okay.
makes sense.
Yeah.
So he's willing to kill people.
Yes, he's willing to do whatever it takes to get the W, I guess you could say.
Okay. All right. I mean, there wasn't much to go off there, but Bryson, do you have any rebuttals to that?
I'll save it for my points.
Okay. Well, you ready for point number 1?
Yeah, okay. So, I'll start with this just because of kind of what you said about the comedian having like this savage background and being in wars and kind of having that experience. Jason Todd himself trained with Batman, but not only Batman, he trained with great masters of different kinds of fighting styles, both hand-on-hand and weapons, all around the world, before he became the Red Hood. So when it comes to like training and kind of like fighting knowledge, I think that the Red Hood is actually way outmatches the comedian, him just being kind of like a super soldier. Not only that, but I know that he's like, the comedian's like this big, beefy guy, right? In the Outlaw series, for example, there's this scene where the Red Hood is fighting these big, giant, like, zombie robots. And these guys are, like, beefy as hell, right? So this guy has stabbed through the chest with a stake, has Jason Todd, like, in his hand, and Jason Todd's like, oh, man, I didn't want to have to do this, and then rips the stake through this big, beefy robot zombie's body. So I don't think size would really be an issue for him.
Okay. Is that your end? You got any rebuttals for that?
Not really, man.
Okay, so I have a question. Do you have any names of these specific masters that Jason was training with, other than Batman, obviously?
So I was trying to find the names, but like I said, I kind of procrastinated some of this research. So that was one of the things that I left out. But it does cite like multiple sources. One of the ones specifically that it was talking about is his weapon combat, actually, which surprised me. But like the reason that he's super good at like with his aim and with his weapon skills is because after Batman, he had trained with this master of guns and stuff like that.
Okay. All right. Well,
She explains it as so adorable. With like his guns and stuff.
the gun fu.
I was like trying to find the words, they weren't coming.
All right, Sonny, you got your second point ready?
I guess so. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Sonny, come on.
Yeah,
I'm trying to-
man.
Bring-
Come on.
Well,
You're
I'm
supposed to
just
be
trying
a
to figure out what the
host.
second point should even be. All right. So, I mean, I guess going back to like, I guess you were saying, Jason Todd knows how to with his weapon for proficiency. I mean, of course, because he's been in so many wars, he knows how to use a wide variety of weapons as well. He's also a skilled assassin. So he was actually.
Are you talking about Jason Todd, or are you talking about the comedian?
Yeah, the comedian. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, the comedian was actually like hired by the government or sanctioned, I guess you could say, to do assassinations on multiple targets. I mean, now I guess the targets I know weren't too like I guess powerful, as you could say, as characters, because I do know I think he is credited. No, I may be incorrect, but I saw he was credited with actually killing JFK in this universe, which isn't like something.
Well, now we know.
Which isn't something huge, but like it just goes to show like his assassination ability, I guess, as well as his intelligence, like being able to pick up on little hints and stuff like that on people he may not know too well, so he can he can pick apart a person based, on, read them like a book basically and figure out their weaknesses. I do know, let's see, some of his, he was able to go ahead and actually, he was the first one to discover Asmodeus's plot. I probably pronounced that name wrong. Just as like to go to show how smart he was when nobody else in that universe was able to actually figure out what the big deal was and how he was actually tricking everybody. He actually figured that out, and that's what got him killed by.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate a little bit on like the plot and what was even happening as far as what he had to figure out?
So I haven't looked into, so I do know, I don't, it's going based off memory on that. I do know the plot for Asmodeus. He was actually, so he's a very powerful character. So he's almost like kind of like a Superman almost type character. And I mean, he was, the comedian was actually able to go toe to toe with him for a little while. And actually in the beginning of Asmodeus's like superhero career, he actually beat him in a fight.
Mm.
Now, granted, Asmodeus was younger at that point and less skilled. So that's probably what, gave him the ability to go ahead and overcome that because he was already a skilled warrior at that point.
Mm.
But going back to your point, his plot was to actually bring the world together by tricking it. Now he was actually constructing, I forget, I don't know what it was, but it was like this weapon or something that was going to end the world or something like that.
Mm.
And through that, he actually was going to bring the world together by like, okay, there's this great evil that we all must come together and actually fight against. So actually when everybody found out in that universe that was the plot, it actually threw everything in chaos.
Mm.
And I think Rorschach was, because he was investigating the death of the comedian by, what is Asmodeus? I can't remember his actual name, because Asmodeus killed him because he knew about that. And that's how the beginning of the novel actually happens.
Okay.
That's where it starts off, of course, as you know.
So Osmodeus was the one that killed him.
Yes, because it was, so he was flying a plane. So the comedian was flying a plane and he was going to a mission. I forgot exactly what he was doing, but because he's intelligent, he was flying over an island. And something about the island like stuck out to him. So he stopped. And now I didn't get to see I don't know if it was actually ever explained, but the tragedy and the horror, or the atrocities, I should say, that he saw on the island actually drove him mad, kind of.
Mm.
So he ended up in a drunken stupor going to the Hooded wait, was it Hooded? No, it wasn't Hooded Justice. Hold on one second. I forget. He went to actually Moloch. He went to Moloch. He went to Moloch's apartment, which was actually, I guess, one of his rivals early in their careers. This is when they're 60. And he actually goes to a villain that he used to fight, or an enemy, or whatever you want to call him, because the comedian wasn't the best character in the world. And he's actually spilling everything out about what's going on. And the fucked up thing was, or the messed up thing, I'm sorry. The messed up thing was Asmodeus actually bugged Moloch's apartment because he was snooping on him for his own reasons. And that's when he heard what the comedian had found out on the island. And that's what got the comedian killed.
Okay.
Yeah. So Asmodeus couldn't let him, because again, he was trying to do this thing where he was bringing the world together by creating this destruction that was going to happen and being like, oh, we must fight this.
Okay. So there's a lot to unpack there. Bryson, first of all, do you have any questions or rebuttals to his point?
I do have a rebuttal to the whole assassin JFK thing. Okay, so he was actually accredited for assassinating JFK.
I got that right.
But okay, the whole story behind that, it wasn't like he was like some super skilled, like snuck around to kill the president type thing. He was actually family friends with the Kennedys, and the Kennedys family is the one that had hired him to kill JFK. So he had like that inside information. So I feel like putting that to like his assassin skills isn't necessarily the best point.
Okay. All right. Well,
Bryson does have a point
she
right
has a
there.
point on that.
Look, but I will give you this, Sonny. Good job on your hours long worth of research. You did a lot better than I would have.
Honestly, yeah, I'm impressed that you even like found that because that took me like hours of YouTube digging.
I've been doing comic book research for a little bit, so I kind of knew what I was
Nice.
looking for.
And just the people that are watching, literally Sonny was told, I want to say like an hour before the podcast, like, hey, both people that were supposed to, our person and then our filler dropped out. So you're in. Congratulations.
We can no longer find anyone else. Anyways, Bryson, you ready for your second point?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do
Okay.
it.
So, my second point is that this guy is not only like an overall badass when it comes to like martial arts and like weapons combat, but he's also insanely smart. I know that the comedian, he's a pretty smart guy himself, right? But this guy is like literally noted in the comic books to have a genius level IQ. So much, in fact, that he was able to even be Batman temporarily during the Battle of the Call, Battle of the Call, one of those two in the Batman comics, where there was a bunch of people who were kind of battling it out to see who's going to be the next Bat. Ultimately, it ended up being Dick Grayson, but he was a close second, man. But anyway, with his kind of like intellect, he would definitely be a smart opponent. He's super duper resourceful when it comes to his fights. He's been known to take literally whatever is around him and turn it into a weapon to use against his enemy, usually with like split second thinking.
Mm.
That would be kind of hard to defend.
Okay. She got a point on that one.
Do you think that his intelligence would, besides with the weaponry and just having that IQ, do you think that it would translate to the battle in such a way that it would just outdo him completely?
Yeah, actually, I do. I feel like the Red Hood specifically would be a pretty overwhelming opponent for the comedian.
Well, if we're talking experience and intelligence, Sonny was saying that the comedian's been through World War II. He's been through Vietnam a few times. So he has those two wars under his belt. On top of that, his world, I mean, from the very beginning in the 20s, had superheroes and masks and everything like that. So from the sounds of it, I mean, I know Jason Todd's a pretty young character in the comics, at least. I mean, he's been around forever, but he's a pretty young character as far as age-wise. So how do you feel the experience of years translates with each other?
Well, okay, I'll give the comedian like experience level. Nothing helps you learn like really going through it.
Mm-hmm.
However, I would like to point out that just as an example of like Jason Todd's intelligence, he has outsmarted Batman himself on like multiple occasions. The only person that maybe has like outsmarted him more than once has been the Joker. The fact that even Batman has a hard time like finding him or a hard time avoiding his traps shows me that it doesn't really matter like what kind of opponent he's against, he'll find a way.
That's a good point. Do you have anything against that?
These are all very good points. But okay. This is gonna sound terrible, but I'm willing to concede that okay, yeah, maybe Red Hood is probably the favorite in the fight, but I think people are underestimating the comedian's like strength because the way he's depicted in these comic books, and I know he doesn't have a lot of like feats to actually back it up, but he's pretty much Batman strength level, and while not intelligence, he's pretty freaking close.
Mm.
So while the Red Hood is probably able to fool the Batman and stuff like that, I feel like the comedian's experience and heightened senses from actually being in a war and not in like being in situations where you're not your senses aren't always all there, whether it being explosions and your hearing is not there or whatever. I feel like that's probably going to aid him a little bit more if the battle is like, I guess, not too hectic.
Okay.
May I bring up
I mean,
another point to that?
Okay.
So I feel like while that could aid him, it's also kind of shown in the comic book series that it hindered him as well. He's known to have this really kind of a nihilistic view of the world to where he doesn't care, but it's part of what makes him such a badass, but it's also kind of a weakness to him because he goes into this rage where he doesn't really like thinks things through as well as he needs to. So
I mean, it works for the whole.
but I also feel like Jason Todd kind of suffers from his own aggravation and losing his cool as well in his fights. I mean, he's been proven to, get kind of
this is true.
messy with his, when he gets stressed out or pushed against the wall, he's tended, to not make the best decisions. So
I mean,
This
you
is
just
true.
said that he did just, take the stake through a really beefy
Well,
robot
Jason
zombie.
Jason is also
I was about to crush his skull.
next to Damien. I'd say Jason would probably be the most hot-headed Robin.
yeah, he's
So you have, from what it sounds like, two hot-headed characters going at it. So my question is, and this doesn't have to be a point on it for any of you or either of you, because you still have your last points to make. Because this is going to be a messy battle. These guys, they love guns. It's going to be a lot of shooting, a lot of explosions, things like that.
It will not be a restraining battle. This will be a death battle.
I would say, who would be able to keep their cool longer under those conditions?
I think Jason Todd, simply because of everything he's been through so far. He's been put in so many situations where his emotional strength has been like tested, and he's actually learned from them. Like, he used to hate Batman because he didn't like kill the Joker after the Joker had killed him originally when he was Robin. Hated him, finally confronted him about it, and then ended up coming to an understanding. He learned from that in further situations, and because of something that Batwoman had said to him about knowing the right place and the right time, he had kind of learned to use his rage for good, if that makes sense.
See, Bryson, I love you, but I have to disagree with you. I think if they're both throwing all kinds of weapons at each other, they're not going to look at this as an emotional situation. Now, it's going to sound really sexist, but unless men are tempted with the emotional aspect and they're just throwing fists at each other and throwing weapons, they're going to look at that as a challenge. 99.99% of people are not going to look at that as emotion. I think that Nico, I think your question is that keeping that cool. I don't think either of them are going to want to keep their cool. I think both of them are going to enjoy the challenge. I think they're going to like throwing stuff at each other. I think they're going to like shooting at each other. And they're going to look at each other and laugh when they get shot.
That's
Yeah,
true.
I feel like it would be the greatest back and forth in television history, to be honest.
Because the comedian's looked at as kind of a Punisher type character. So again, my question would be, it would be a challenge of whose experience is going to show more.
And I feel like that kind of points more towards, and this is going to go back to my earlier point, but I feel like that kind of points towards the comedian, because he's been able to, in most of his one-on-one fights, he hasn't really lost control like that. And that's with his first fight, or with his the fight with Asmodeus, who at that point was probably still a physically taxing person to even fight. He was able to keep his cool under that kind of stress and still able to put such a being, down for a little bit. Whether even though he was younger at that time, I'll concede that, but still.
Okay.
Okay, fair point.
All right. Well, you ready for your point number 3, Sonny?
I guess so. It's not really much of a point 3 because he don't got really much information left.
Well, I mean, go at it, man.
Summarize.
So yeah,
Closing argument.
You want to get
Closing
you wanna get,
argument, exactly.
action figures and show them how it would go down.
It would go like this. This is Jason, and this is the comedian. No, but seriously, I mean, I just want to just stress that he's, he's a savage, but he's been able to keep his cool in some of the most stressful situations, and it has been proven. I mean, of course, he has, he does have anger issues and stuff like that, so he will lose his cool. He's more, I would say he's more bloodthirsty than anything, to be honest, because when he starts killing a lot, that's when he starts to go mad. But he has been shown to actually take out pretty decent characters. I know he killed Typhoon. Now I don't know where Typhoon lies on the spectrum, but Typhoon, I know he was able to take him out when the Doomsday event happened, and I guess they like merged or whatever it was.
Yeah, the merger between
Something like that.
Watchmen and
I
DC,
didn't
the
really.
Doomsday Clock.
Yeah, so when he came in, he was able to take out, Batman villains like they're nothing. Not that they're the strongest villains in the world, but he's actually been able to infiltrate and like calmly and collectively take out a group of high-level villains. So that goes to show his intelligence and stuff like that. Let's see.
While you're looking at that, can I just say, as soon as you said bloodthirsty, all I could think of was Helsing and the big titty police girl. When she goes into the blood rage.
You have to, say it's Helsinger Bridge.
Yeah, the Helsing Bridge.
Yeah, or else you remember like when that happened.
Do you know what I'm talking about, Bryson?
Yeah, I do, because I like the abridged series on YouTube.
That's why I went with Canon instead of Nikon, because bitches love Canon.
Sonny, if you could elaborate a little more on that bloodthirsty thing. Is it like going into blood rage mode, or is it more like a Punisher, or it's just he's just gonna kill you? Like, elaborate on that.
Or is he a serial killer at heart?
No,
Does he lose
I don't know
his
if he would.
focus when he's killing?
Does he get turned on?
So honestly, I would say probably more akin to that. So
Gets
like when
on?
he starts killing a lot, he gets hot and bothered by the idea of killing. So he will lose his cool because he starts to get into like the killing and
And he
stuff
starts
like
to
that.
pitch
That's
a tent.
no, not like that. But
Okay.
So I don't know. I haven't been able to read too much about him, but I mean, from everything I was showing, he seems to lose his cool more when he's like bloodthirsty. I guess kind of like, not like the Punisher, because the Punisher's more rage.
Mm.
He kind of seems like after a while, he seems like he starts doing it out of just for fun.
Okay.
So more in like a psychotic, like serial killer sense, kind of. So yeah, he's gonna kill you to kill you, especially because that goes back to like his time in the war. It kind of turns you, like, especially like with World War II, how brutal that one was. It kind of turns you. I can see how that would turn you into like a crazy maniac.
Do you know
So it's kind of like that.
Do you know his zodiac?
No.
Oh, so I've heard that like serial killers, they all like have like the major ones, they all have like the same.
I have an
zodiac.
objection that has nothing to do with this battle.
I was just asking because maybe that.
I'm using
okay.
one of their objections. This has nothing to do with this battle.
Bryson, are you interested in his zodiac side now? Thank you.
Is
for
what?
backing me up. I appreciate it.
Is he what? I don't know. I'm trying to remember. I think it was Gemini's, wasn't it?
Gemini's, Taurus, and Virgos? Something like that.
Okay.
But I guess that's gonna do it for my third point. I mean, because there's not too much information I could get on him, so I guess that'll do it for my third point.
All right, Bryson, you have any rebuttals?
I did, and then we started talking about zodiac signs. Hold on. Not really a rebuttal, just kind of like I think they're both kind of a little fucked, messed up. Sorry, I don't know if this is like a language thing, but
Yeah.
I never put it where it's an age restriction.
Oh, okay.
So.
Okay.
No, you should be putting an age
Oh yeah,
restriction.
I don't have it where it's for kids.
Yeah, so there should be an
Okay.
age restriction.
Yeah, I do have an age. I guess. I don't know.
One of those.
I'm sure an 8-year-old could find this.
one of the two.
That's very true. Yeah.
So they're both kind of like, I would say they're both messed up. Like they're both psycho, to be honest. Like even when Jason Todd was Robin, Batman was concerned about him and like the behavior he was showing and how much he wanted to see bad guys dead. Like he wasn't cool with Batman's style of just throwing them in jail. Like he wanted to kill him. Pretty much Redhood's like if you were to compare him to a Marvel character like you're doing with Punisher, it would be like Deadpool, where he's an anti-hero, just like the comedian and just like the Punisher, and they all kind of have a really messed up like mindset when it comes to that.
Take justice. Pretty much. Take justice in their own hands. I can't talk.
Yeah.
Anyways.
And enjoy it.
So I mean, okay. Do you have your point 3 ready?
Yeah, okay. So my third point was just going to be kind of a comparison. So while I understand that the comedian has like all this war experience, he's like this big buff guy, he has all that. I feel like Jason's Todd the Red Hood has proven time and time again exactly what he's capable of. You talked about the comedian like having to face big groups of DC villains that had even opposed Batman and stuff like that. Whereas the Red Hood broke into the Teen Titan Tower when he was the Teen Titans age and immobilized all of them, and then threw their Robin across the room just to get an answer out of him.
Was this Dick Grayson or was this?
It was Dick Grayson, yeah.
Okay.
He was just like answered him and then like passed out. I'm like, are you serious? So I feel like when it comes to training, level of badassery, and when it comes to wits, the comedian's just outmatched by Jason Todd on all those levels.
Okay.
So, comedian over there, have you ever thrown a teenager against a wall for an answer?
Yeah.
That's impressive. Let's beat up on.
I would like to note that he was their age at the time, so it wasn't like he broke into like some teen's house and just started beating the shit out of all of them while he's like an adult.
I can confirm the comedian has thrown equivalent age people across the room.
Okay.
Yeah.
To him.
But you have any rebuttals for this point? I mean,
Any rebuttals? I mean, not really.
okay.
I mean, it was just a comparison, so I mean, I don't have really nothing to say against that.
Okay. Well, any closing statements from either of you?
I think I made it.
Well, I mean, if we were going based on popularity alone, I wonder who would really win. I mean, Jason Todd did get voted to get killed by the Joker.
That's a low blow.
So, I mean, I would wonder who would win just based off popularity, because Watchmen is pretty popular, but I'll just leave it at that.
All right. Wow. Throwing some shade at the ending. But, all right, guys. Well, that was a great battle. And we're going to leave it to our judges, Steve Payne, Richie Cope, and David Whalen, to make a decision on who's going to move on to the finals. Just to let everybody know, our last battle between Raphael and the Shredder was won by Derek. The Shredder is moving on to the next round. It was a very close decision. Derek got 2 votes and Darian got 1. So
Darian got my vote too, but my vote doesn't count. So
that there would be a panel of 4 judges if your vote counted, and then we need a 5th to actually have a winner.
and you agreed with me that Darian.
Yes,
should
but
have
I
won.
compete. So I can't vote.
So then who officially won?
So Derek
Derek.
won. So our semifinals will be match number 1 is going to be Hit Girl versus Katana, which I will be participating in that one.
That'll be Austin versus Nico.
Yep. And then the winner of this match will be taking on Derek in the semis against Shredder. So
So who is it going to be? Is it going to be the comedian, or is it going to be Red Hood?
stay tuned. I will be making announcements of who's won this match and who will be moving on to the semis. Monday, we'll be recording our first semifinal match, and then we'll have the results on Tuesday. All right. So thank you guys again. Thank you guys for competing and putting on a great battle. And we will see you next time at the Tavern Tourney. Have a good one, guys.
Have a good one.
Wait.